What's going on, people? It's your man, the YB, back once again. So, Fake Paul and Fake Paul and Nate Diaz. Oh my God, people, listen. I ain't gonna lie to no one, yeah. My hands are in the air. I've been honest with everyone, truth be known. I was wrong about Fake Paul. Simple as that. End of the day, I said before the fight, Nate Diaz, he's sloppy and he's walking forward. If you can't KO a guy walking for, I mean, even Devin Haney had to clown on him as well. Yeah, Devin Haney came out, Jake Paul for the KO. That's how this is supposed to go, people. Realistically, Jake Paul's 25-year-old, Nate Diaz is 40, old, can't box, and he's like a zombie. Yes, he's got a great chin, allegedly. I don't know, actually. Does he have a great chin? But it's not even about your chin, though, I don't think. Why? Well, look at Floyd. Floyd Mayweather can't punch. Floyd Mayweather's 45-year-old. And what did he do when he went in there with Muktapa? He walked forward and slapped away and pressured him. That's how you beat an MMA fighter. You show there's levels to this. Don't get me wrong. Jake Paul's a pretty decent boxer in that sense. He can outbox 40-year-old washed up MMA dudes. Do you know what I mean? But this weren't supposed to be that, in my opinion. I said before the fight again, I don't want to see Jake Paul backpedaling. There's supposed to be levels to this, like, I'm a boxer. Boxers don't backpedal against MMA fighters. Do you understand that? That's the levels of it. I mean, the best boxers in that sense don't backpedal full stop. They know how to hold their feet and show that you're, you know what I mean? Show that you're a different level. Jake Paul's in there boxing with dude. The same thing happened against Silva. The same thing was happening against Woodley in both fights. Backpedaling, like, no. At what point are you going to say, listen, I'm daddy. I'm a daddy of this ring. Yeah, stiff jab to his head, hold your feet. And even his trainers, to be fair, even his trainers were saying, don't back up, bend your knees and start winging away on the inside. It's really, Jake for a lot of the time, it wasn't just Jake, but Jake for a lot of the time, he was the one initiating the clinches. He was the one backing up. I just don't get that. Yeah, and like I said, man, end of the day, man, this guy was gassing it up before the fight. Where is it? Look, where is it? Look at this, look. I'm sending him back to the cage. You ain't doing none. You didn't send him nowhere. Truth be known. Let's be real here. Another thing he said, ready for war. Fans can expect a war. Nate was bringing the war. You was boxing. Let's call a spade here. Yeah? And the sad thing is about this is the fact that Jake was the only one who looked dangerous. It's like, at what point do you say, this guy, Nate clearly had no power. Jake never looked troubled. So it's like, what are you doing backing up and boxing with the guy? Get your elbows in. Get your hands up. And show him there's levels to this. Instead he was politicking again. I just don't understand it. I don't understand where he's going with this. Like I said with Floyd, look at Floyd. Floyd doesn't stop anyone in boxing. Floyd's not a puncher. Floyd didn't have the size advantage. Jake had size advantage, boxing advantage, power advantage, and still he in there politicking. Look at Floyd. Floyd, he politicked for a bit, let Muktapa get tired, and then showed him that you're a clown. That's how I think it should go. And by the way, Floyd was older as well. Floyd was like 45 and McGregor was in his prime, 30-year-old. Jake's 25 years old, people. If you can't beat up a 40-year-old man at 25 who can't box and who has no defense, and who... Nate was walking straight in with his chin in the air. And yeah, Jake, and that's what makes it worse in a way. Jake put him down. It's like, okay, you put him down and then did what? And then politicked for the next 5 rounds. / run out of gas. Like, nah, man, this just ain't it for me. This just ain't it. And I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it, it's the truth. KSI would have smoked or done better, in my opinion. Because you got, in this game, I believe, you got to let your hands go. Jake was letting his hands go to some extent, but when you're backing up all the time, look at the first round, for example. Jake Paul came out, he was on the front foot, and Nate was in trouble. That's how it should have gone. And yeah, I do think Jake exerted himself too much in the first round, but that's how it's supposed to go. I don't know why he came bum rushing the first round for. Get comfortable, find your range, and then start pressing. Jake went the other way. He comes out like Rambo, and then falls off, which is... what? And I think a lot of it, the problem is this narrative of, I'm going to knock the guy out in the first round. Well, oops. Get rid of that crap narrative that you ain't going to do anyway, apart from, who's he knocked out in the first round? What bum was it? What's his name? Nate something. Forget about that bum and bum aspirin. Yeah, Jake's knocked out 2 people pretty quick. A basketball player, a 4-foot tall basketball player, yeah, and an MMA guy who wrestler. Ben Askren ain't got no hands at all. Muffin top. So, okay, we get it. We get your shtick. You knocked out a 4-foot tall basketball player, yeah, and a wrestler. A pure wrestler as well. Not even like Woodley, a wrestler. But forget about that now. Them kind of jokes are over for me now. I'm getting tired of it. Yeah? Focus on what you're supposed to be doing. Not all this rah-rah that you ain't doing. I wouldn't even mind, yeah, listen. If he'd have come out and smoked Nate in round 1, I'd say, okay. But you blew your loot. You shot your load in round 1. And then it was kind of like politicking. Relax. Nothing, don't force it. Go in there. Again, to be honest with you, looking at it now, there's an old saying, leopards don't change their spots, and we've seen it with many fighters. It looks to me like Jake's found his level now, in that sense. He doesn't seem to be improving. Watch his Silver fight. He outboxed Silver. Silver's a 40-year-old man, 50-year-old man. And people who are older, yeah, you'll know how you felt at 25 and how you feel at 50. You ain't trying to fight no one at 50, realistically speaking. You're just not. You know what I mean? It's just not the time to be fighting. And Jake was in there politicking. Jake was the one backing up boxing again. Do you understand? At some point, you got to say, I'm daddy. Yeah? I'm going to make 50-year-old washed up MMA fighter Anderson Silva. I'm going to make him back up. I mean, look at Terence Crawford, for example. Now, I'm not talking about skills here. Or even now, both of them, Errol Spence and Crawford, yeah. Forget about skills. Neither man, again, Jake's got the golfing skills. Jake's the one with the skills, with the age, with everything. You don't see them, man, in there politicking, dancing around. Go and sit about your business. Even when Errol Spence was getting his head punched in, he's still stepping in, trying to wing away a big shot. Jake in there, you can't generate power backing up. Jake's falling in love with that whole Woodley 2 shtick. Oh, I step back and wing a right hand over. And he wasn't winging, to be fair, but I don't know what he was doing. But people say Nate can't punch, but it just didn't look. Nate lost the fight, no doubt about that, yeah, but that's all he lost. Nate was in there stunting. For a man who has no skill, yeah, all Nate really brought to the table was cardio. He has no power. He has no skill. And for a man in that position, he was stunting on Jake. In that sense, Jake would hit him to the body. He'd do this. He even got me with one of them. Jake stabbed him to the body, yeah, and then Nate doubled over. I thought, oh, he's hurt, and he was clowning. He was in there stunting. That should never be the case. Yeah, especially not in the latter rounds when you're 25 years old. Again, look at McTapper and Floyd. In the latter rounds, Jake should have been put like, all right, you've had your playtime now. You've had your play. You know what I mean? You've had your goofball stuff. It's time to get serious here. Floyd put his hands up, and he's not once, apart from round 1, did I see Jake Paul pressing. Again, he didn't press Tommy, he didn't press Silver, he didn't press Woodley twice. So it's looking like he found his level, people. Jake Paul's a back foot outboxer who can't beat Tommy. So you see the point I'm making here. The point is, yeah, Jake is not like a Floyd, or if you can't if this boxing thing's serious and you can't outpoint Timmy, it's like, well, you can't box either, can you? Let's be realistic here. Tommy's no good, people. Tommy's good for YouTubers. He's not good for real boxing. So if you can't, so Jake Paul, he's supposed to be a puncher, but you can't pressure fight, and you want to box, but you can't outbox though. So you're basically doing nothing for yourself, essentially. If you want to be a puncher, you got to learn to punch, and you don't do that dancing around the place against an MMA fighter with no defense and no skill and no power. Nate Diaz was literally, before this fight, he had a big welcome sign on his head. Yeah, I couldn't see how Jake couldn't knock this guy out, but we found out. We surely found out it's possible. Things never surprise me anymore. These guys managed to do things I never thought was possible. There's no way Jake Paul can go life and death with this guy. He got life and death, and God forbid Nate Diaz could punch. If Nate Diaz wasn't slapping, I actually, truth be known, yeah, I actually think Nate Diaz in them 4-ounce gloves would have given Jake problems, truth be known. I really do. I mean, equally, you could say maybe Jake would have got some shots through, but I think Nate's hands, boxing gloves, it's a lot harder to get volume off because they're heavier and whatnot. I think, and it's also easier to defend. Jake's defense was alright, but again, Nate's slapping. And someone's in there digging. Tommy slaps too, but he's going to be in trouble for sure. When someone knows how to punch with Jake Paul, he's going to be in trouble. Who that is, I mean, in the YouTube scene, it's like, do you know what I mean? They're all kind of goofy, but we'll find out anyway. KSI versus Tommy. I'm backing KSI. Just for what it is. KSI. He do something none of these guys be doing. He let his hands go. That's what I think's key here. You got to let your hands go. If you think you're powerful, let your hands go. And just the thing about, that's what I'm confused about. Jake, to be fair, he was letting his hands go, but he wasn't doing none, was it? I just don't. I'm not sure what the whole thing is. The only kind of analysis I've got as to why Jake Paul was letting his hands go and he wasn't doing nothing is the fact that he was doing so on the back foot. He wasn't really setting anything up. In the early rounds, I do remember he had a pretty good oppressive jab. He was stepping forward with it, but towards the back rounds, he likes to back up. He likes to dance all the time. I don't know who's teaching him that. I don't understand. It's got to be, you can't be one. Jake, for me, has become one-dimensional. He likes to back up and outbox. And that, for me, what Jake's skills are, if anything, is that he's supposed to be heavy-handed. Well, yeah, the two don't go together. Even Floyd knows that. Yeah, even when Floyd came to pressing McTapper, he wasn't doing so on dancing around and no, he put his hands up and got to work, walk forward. You've got to be going forward, people, against this level of opposition. You've got to. That shows you know someone's a bum compared to you. Yeah, when you're just walking straight through them. Do you get that? The minute you're in there politicking, it's like, well, what are you politicking for? What are you scared of? Which I can't understand, and that's why I believe if Nate Diaz is making you back up, yeah, I don't know what to say, people. Whatever you say about KSI, yeah, I think he's heavy-handed for what it's worth. Or heavy-elbowed. I think he's heavy-handed. Well, listen, again, let me save. I've commented before about things I've been wrong, so let me save reserve judgment. I am going to put some money on KSI for what it's worth, but probably going to lose. You know what I mean? But still, on principle, I believe people put on these guys. Tommy, if someone puts it on Tommy, he ain't gonna like it. I don't believe. Yeah, Tommy's a pretty boxer. He like to look pretty and don't want to get hit too much. He don't want to be in a real fight, not once. Yeah, that's why he was in there with a YouTuber, Jake Paul, and boxing, politicking. Yeah, I'm gonna knock you out. He didn't do anything, did he? He got put down himself, in fact. So I'm telling you, KSI are gonna go in there and he might lose, but I don't believe KSI are gonna lose politicking. Oh, let's have a boxing. Let's go in there with the boxer and box. That's what Jake Paul did. Fake Paul went in there and boxed with the boxer. Like, no. Yeah, and all this talk about war and I'm taking his head off. Like, you're not doing that, are you? You tell me what round? Fair play, round one. Round one, he came out. But anyone can really do that. Like, all due respect. Anyone can come out and have a go on round one and then fall off. Yeah? But where was the attitude of taking his head off for the rest of the fight? I didn't see it. It was like negotiating it again. You got some point you got to put the hammer down. It doesn't even mean you go wild. It means I can't see genuinely in this fight, apart from round one, I don't know when Jake Paul stamped his authority. I don't know when Jake Paul showed he was levels above. Because for me, outboxing, which is what this was, Jake Paul outboxed a 40-year-old, a prime Jake Paul, a 26-year-old or whatever he is, managed to outbox a dude who's 40-year-old and can't box a lick, has no power. That to me just don't sound right, if you're serious, in my opinion. I think KSI will do a better job. Because I think KSI will turn Nate Diaz into a proper punching bag. KSI will be jumping in, winging heavy shots that are heavy, because he's on the front foot. I can't imagine. I can't see a world, yeah. And fair play, you can argue, well, KSI has never been in there with Nate Diaz, and that's true, but I can't see a world where KSI is in there looking at Nate, and he's the one boxing with him. Maybe I'm wrong, though. But look at Fournier. Fournier is supposed to be the big boxer, isn't he? And I'm not saying Fournier is any good, but He's probably a better boxer than Nate Diaz. Gets out in there winging big heavy shots. Concentrated shots. So, time will tell, innit? If I'm wrong, then fair play. But either way, though, for me, it's about, like, having a go, innit? For me now, I don't care about win or lose. I care about, did you have a proper go? And I don't feel like Jake did, again. He didn't have a proper go against Tommy. He was in there politicking. And he didn't put it on Nate like he was supposed to. Again, bear in mind, people, I wasn't the one saying, I'm taking his head off. He was still, look at this here, look, I'm taking his head off. We're doing this, we're doing that. I predicted KO, and I didn't see the energy from him. He predicted the KO against Tommy. I didn't see the energy. Tommy, you can excuse, well, Tommy's a great outboxer, whatever. None of them things can be said about Nate. He's the biggest heavy bag I've ever seen. Fair play. No, I like, for what it's worth, yeah, I've gained a lot of respect for Nate. Nate's a serious dude. He goes down, but he gets up and it don't faze him. So he's got heaps of cardio, heaps of balls, heaps of swagger. And for the level of skill he doesn't have, to be in there doing what he was doing, morally speaking, yeah, he was the winner of this fight for me. Who got the moral high ground from this fight? It's Nate. That's how I feel. But anyway, people, there's been talks of Jake Paul fighting Nate in the UFC or in MMA. I'm like, are you joking? What part of what you just saw in them 10 rounds makes you think you can do it? And the DAZN commentary was shocking. The guy on DAZN, yeah, Jake Paul's done wrestling before. I'm like, no, people. Nate Diaz will do ungodly things to Jake Paul in a mixed martial arts fight. And you can take that to the bank as well. Seriously, Nate Diaz will kick the life out of him just to start with. And then it'll be fair play to Jake, though. If he wants to do it, then he can do it. But you can't even win the thing you're supposed to be doing properly. Do you understand, people? Yeah? You ain't even properly dominating the boxing. He wasn't dominating Nate. Nate was running forward all night. And you can tell when someone's getting dominated. Look at round 1. That's what you call dominated. Nate was backing up, looking lost for himself. The rest of the 9 rounds, he was walking forward, no problem. So you can't even dominate the guy in your own sport. You think you can go in it? No way. I'd bet on that as well. No way. Nate will do what he wants with him, in my opinion. I think Nate could even punch him up on the feet. Or in fact, I know so. Because it wouldn't just be the hands. Nate would kick him some, kick his leg, kick his head, punch him some more. No chance. Yeah, trust me. Jake would get stopped in that fight for sure. He don't have the cardio for it either, in my opinion. Yeah, if you're 25 years old and you're getting gassed in your own sport of boxing, and this whole shtick of, oh, I've only been doing it 6 years, like, no, that's tired now as well. Yeah, after 6 years, you've maxed out your cardio, in my opinion. If you've been doing something day in, day out for 6 years, yeah, you've maxed out. Don't take more than 6 years to get cardio. You know what I mean? So, 6 years of the best training, and you're still gassed in your own sport, and you think you can go in there in mixed martial arts? No chance. Nate stops him for sure. If it's a 5-round, 5-minute fight, Nate stops him. That'd be my bet. Anyway, really, it could be kick, could be a punch, it could be, because even there was points in this fight when Nate was not overwhelming him, but like, again, Nate can't punch in 10-ounce gloves. But there was points Nate was slapping away, and Jake, rather than tucking up and digging back, he kind of got bamboozled. So put Nate in 4-ounce gloves, yeah, and he's slapping away in that fashion. That's how people get stopped in mixed martial arts. Or better yet, he starts punching away and then whips a kick in there, and then double legs him. You know what I mean? That's how these things go in that game. It's a very complicated game. And keeping it simple in boxing, you couldn't really dominate in that. You know what I mean? Like, what planet are you on? But I think the problem is a lot of people around these celebrity guys, yeah, they ain't realistic. They just want to suck you off for some coins. Do you understand? Yeah. Who's telling this guy, yeah, after watching that, you should now try and do mixed martial arts? Absolutely not. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, people. Smash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the butt 100%, no doubt.